Have you got those
I've got this
somewhere?
in my mass of papers.
How you been, Tom?
Good. Survived the first holiday of this season. Anyway,
You ready for tonight?
well, yeah, I think I'll be sitting by the fire.
A nice contribution in June, didn't you?
Yeah. Thanks, Tom.
We did submit that $5,300 that Good Samaritan Society Foundation sent back and put in a fund, and we submitted that to the fund that's set up in the foundation for Cheyenne County Village, and we had an individual pledge up to $20,000 in matching funds for any donations that came into that fund. So that kind of filled out that $20,000 request. So we basically collected 15-some thousand, and then that $5,000, and got a $20,000 match. So we have $40,000 now in a fund in a foundation that basically the foundation board has control over. I mean, not the foundation board, but the Cheyenne County Village Board has control over how it. So it'll probably be major projects, memorial type of things. We're hoping that folks will see that as an opportunity for
To help, yeah.
memorial funds, that a place that will stay and won't end up going to,
Iowa,
yeah, or South Dakota or wherever.
wherever.
Yeah. So. So, I mean, that's outside the whole budget, so.
So basically, you're kind of here today to talk about your last item on the notes.
Yeah.
And that'd be the final request for the year. Scott and I both have requested they print that in larger type next time. they said they'd requested, and we both looked and looked and looked, and finally called them and said, we don't see anywhere there's a request. And it's down at the bottom.
Yeah, I agree with that.
That's ridiculous, so, anyway. So that.
Well, there's some circumstances surrounding all that are pretty hard to overcome. I think Leslie could explain it better than I can. She might have already filled you in when
Yeah,
you
the
said.
carryover.
Yeah.
Yeah, I understand, so it won't work, so.
Yeah, basically what we have is, I like to coin it as an appropriation.
Yeah.
And so, in addition to it being appropriation, there is a written contract in regards to how the funds can and cannot be used. And in that contract, there is no provision for capital improvement fund, et cetera. So whatever is left over, it goes back into general. But because the county owns the facility, if there is any unexpected expense that would cause you to go over the appropriation, then the commissioners have the authority to go ahead and approve using general funds to cover that expense.
And that's fine. My concern is, and my nephew runs a large nursing home down at Junction City, and as I went and visited all these nursing homes, there was always those contingency when you get the violation, when you get written up. There's always that big amounts of money, unbelievable. And that was my fear, that, what would happen if under the present system. But and that's kind of the way Eddie explained it to me. He said, that would have to, actually, we'd have to come up with the money through somehow from the county, because those fines, even though you got a management company, they somehow have a way of getting around being
Oh, yeah.
liable.
It's in that contract somewhere.
Which don't make sense to me. So, anyway, but I'm comfortable with the way it is right now. So if I think that with the other things that we submitted, everything will work out. And there's a little bit of money left in it, but it's a small amount will be left to transfer, so.
And, considering how
Well,
old that
also-
facility is, there's always going to be something.
Always.
I think it'll just make us be very diligent about looking ahead and planning what needs to be repaired.
But you've got a
And,
pretty good start, judging by
Yeah.
some of the
Yeah.
bids.
Yeah.
And I understand your philosophy, let's get them in for the end of the year.
Yeah.
See if we can't get them paid for, but it just can't work that way.
Because those bids that you brought in,
So that won't be able
we
to be.
we cannot pay on
Is that right?
until the work is finished.
Oh, that's a killer. I did not know that.
And this information came from our auditors too,
I
because
understand.
we checked with them and
Which is kind of like this request of the 68,000 is for January wages,
Well, yeah.
January payroll.
And see, it's always for the next quarter, we basically been providing the money for the next quarter instead of the back quarter. It'll always be going
And-
forward.
Eddie, I talked to Eddie. He said that the 60,000 is the December payroll to be paid January 3rd.
Okay. That's what this,
Yeah, because I talked to him the other day when Rob was up here on the phone, and he explained, we were trying to find that, and he said that the 60,000 is for the December payroll to be paid January 3rd.
okay.
so it's for work already done.
And then there was $8,000 of operating costs.
Okay. No, I didn't realize these others that we submitted were not. I don't think Eddie does either, does he?
What's that?
That the one others that we worked on the other day. Well,
No, I just received that yesterday afternoon,
Oh.
so. Back from the auditor.
Because another thing too is, given the amounts that are on these estimates in requesting the subsidy, there has to be, if possible, at least 3 bids.
Yeah.
let's give you some, help us out here then. Okay, so let's take the kitchen door. That was Good Sam's. That was already written up under Good Sam. They did nothing. So we received a write-up on it. And they said, this is the second time. We were not aware of it. So we went to the companies that do that. We could not get them to even bid. The only one we had was Amarillo, and they never would give us a bid. it's impossible.
Right, and when you run into situations like that, if you're able to explain the good faith effort to
Okay.
get the bids, and this is all that you have to present, then that's an exception.
Okay.
Yeah.
The water system, the same way. We tried to get them to bid when we was doing construction, because what's happened in the long-term care, it's the same situation. We have no water flow and we don't have pressure. And we even tried to include it in the original when he was doing it, nobody had a solution. So for the past year, we've worked on what can we do, talk to companies, do all of that, and finally found through him, said, hey, we got a company that we can put in, and they got a pressure system to work, and we got this, so.
And see, that's really all we're asking. Before we apply taxpayer dollars to this, we would like to see the effort, yeah, we'd like to see the effort to at least have it out for bids. If you don't receive any bids, that's understandable.
Okay. Oh, boy.
And we feel hand-tied also, but
Yes.
the rules of the game are the rules of the game.
Okay. Gonna make it tough here. Yeah, see, we did have the donations last year. And people are not gonna be stepping up this year because they understood the crisis of last year.
Because, I mean, it was basically a crisis just on about every front. It was, the construction, Good Sam pulling out early,
Yes.
trying to assemble a management team.
Timing problems was awful,
I
and
mean,
all
that-
that was created by Good Sam.
And so, yeah, and there aren't a lot of management companies that are out there looking to manage a facility like this, and when you're starting with new employees, and then you've got employees, some of them have been there 20 years under a different management company, there was, not only there was a lot of anguish, personnel-wise and such, so.
Sure, but I think being a year into it now, it was a great move. It was the right thing to do.
Well, we had to.
Yeah.
No choice.
There wasn't any way out of it.
Well, and you looked at the county, I mean, we went through 2 votes, we got a $5 million bond passed after 2 votes, and built the new assisted living. The other facility needed remodeled in the worst way after the fire. When you empty it out and people go out and see what neighboring communities had, if we didn't do something, people,
We were going to lose it.
we weren't going to have anything here, so. And then it's interesting to read the minutes that, of the council meetings where individuals are saying, why isn't this handled by private industry? Well, it's small communities. You're not going to have a hospital, you're not going to have a nursing home, you're not going to have a theater, you're not going to have anything if the community doesn't buy in and say, this is what we want. Because when Good Sam tells you,
You don't receive these appropriations quarterly or anything.
We get a monthly statement. We don't receive appropriation, but we meet once a month and they give us
Yeah.
financials.
But the county, you don't get money from the county
Should be
quarterly, do you?
Yeah,
They do
well, we
quarterly.
request quarterly.
They have to request it. We can get it quarterly.
And the mistake we made, well, we were trying to want to make sure Sunporch didn't think they had money to spend, that they didn't have money to spend. In other words, we didn't want them using it on administration or something else or that. See that, we created our own problem out of lack of knowledge, because what we could have done is actually requested all of this.
So when
No, we had to have
you
it
had
done.
a bad month, you could have requested money.
Which they have.
I think on a quarterly basis, I understand it, isn't that what we've been, yeah.
Well, it must not have been quarterly because we give you $120,000 in January.
Well,
Well,
it's
that was to start out.
Yeah, that was,
Yeah.
their
Because it's,
request.
When they were
what is it,
starting out,
January,
is what I'm
April?
saying.
I know, so it really is not quarterly.
See, and there wasn't one then.
It's in the contract. It has the months in the contract, and January is one of them. There are 4 months designated in the contract, and I don't have it in front of me, that they can come in. But if there is a need, you guys can come in at any time. That's
Right,
just,
and it's asked for our approval, even if it's before the,
So what we're saying is they should have been asking earlier.
well,
Yeah, but
you
what-
know, is
the
that,
problem-
I'm a little confused.
Well, let me maybe explain it. Say I guess is from a board standpoint, we didn't want to get in a position to say, okay, we're gonna ask you for $50,000. We don't really know what it's gonna be, but that money would have went into Sun Porch. Their accountant would be looking at it and say, look at here, we got all kinds of money. Because we got $50,000 here that we don't, really have a place for. And that's what we're trying to avoid, so.
and understandably so, because
Yeah.
we've been taken advantage of before.
Yeah, well, see, it with Good Sam, they spent every penny early in the year.
Yeah.
Well,
And then
and
just-
that's why,
I
that's why we
understand
started
that.
out this year. We, basically for the year, we were carrying over 2 months of last year, the expenses from 2 months of last year, because Good Sam, when they left, they took
Yeah,
every
yeah.
dollar
I
out. Yeah,
understand
so
all that, I just,
I
I
guess,
don't understand how we ended up at the end of the year and we still had money. And now we're trying to scramble to spend it.
yeah, that's what happened. I guess my question is, and since this is a fairly large amount of money, to me, and in our budget, it is a large amount, is as this goes back to the general fund, is there any way that we can record it? Does it help us in the future if, say, we need some additional money? In other words, is it just money that's gone forever? You see what I'm saying? Say,
It goes into the county.
I'm gonna use, this is not the amount, but say it's $50,000, and it's going back to the general fund. Now, we have a need for it, we have a use for it, but because of our failure to know what the rules were, we really hurt you as a county, thinking we was doing, all the time, we was doing the right thing.
Yeah, well,
right,
And we
right.
understand, we understand
yeah,
that.
we
I mean,
understand
Well,
that part of it.
let's say
Total
when this
transparency.
work gets done, these bids come in and this work gets done, and if it's in the first quarter of next year, how do you,
It comes out of your 2020 budget.
Yeah. Whatever year the work is completed is what year it comes out of that budget.
Like if you have a massive catastrophic failure of your boiler or something like that, is unseen, then that's where the board can approve
Funds out of the general fund.
funds out of the general fund to do that.
well, I guess we'll just know that, and Eddie's been very diligent trying to get these bids in and such. I mean,
Well,
He
one
was
of the
work-
things that we've had some other discussion this morning, if it's impossible to receive more than, if
Yeah.
you've done your diligent duty to seek
Yeah.
out these bids, that's all we can do.
Yeah, we wasted 2 months on the guy from Amarillo just to get him up here to bid on them.
Yeah.
He kept saying he would, and never did.
Have you found anybody to replace
Well,
those doors?
Brock, he went, did all the research, because it's all fire safety, it all has to do with.
So all them doors lacked was that fire safety grading.
Actually has the tag, don't have the tag on it, and there's a little old gap about that wide or somewhere like that that's been written up twice. It's between the kitchen and that big room there in the nursing home, been that way for years. Probably, who knows how long. But the state inspector did not find the tag, and so therefore we gotta do it.
Yeah.
And, it'll be a big fine next time.
Has anybody visited with the hospital? I know they've had the same trouble.
I don't know if Eddie has. Mean about with doors?
Yes.
Yeah.
With fire-rated doors.
Yeah,
I can't remember who did some work for them,
yeah.
but I know it has happened up there before too.
Well, I know the contractor, we contacted them thinking they could probably do it, and they said, no, but anyway, Brock is, he's supposed to got the, whatever requirements.
Whatever we need to appease the
installation,
fire
do
marshal.
all of that, yeah, and found the doors and that, and then the water system is just something that, the pressure system and the hot water heaters and. Okay,
But what you could do is, because you've given an explanation in regards to the fire doors and the water system, you could go ahead and ask for approval to continue with those projects. It's just gonna come out of the 2020 budget.
yeah, well, I think we might as well. Yeah, so what do we need to do to,
That and the 68,000.
see, there's 68,000 that the 68's automatic, that's no problem with that, no.
Well,
Right, if that is for December work paid on January 3rd, you're good.
we're gonna get a check done today.
And then in regards to the water system and the fire doors, you go ahead and have them make a motion and approve those
Okay.
jobs.
To go ahead and seek,
And then it'll just be paid out of the 2020. But you can go ahead and get that done, because
Oh, yeah.
it sounds like that needs to be done.
Yeah.
okay, so I think what they're looking for is a motion to go ahead, for approval to go ahead and make the repairs to the hot water heating system and the fire door replacements.
To come
Okay.
out of the 2020.
Was there any landscaping or dirt?
That's how the other,
Is it?
yeah.
So then these projects will occur in 2020, so it'll come out of your 2020 budget.
Okay.
Do I hear a motion to?
Yes, I'll make that motion to do that.
Second.
All those in favor? Aye. Opposed, same sign. So
And I guess in the future, because you said they just notified you this morning, Scott, about that wouldn't work?
Yesterday, yeah, the auditor's been on vacation, so it's been kind of hard getting in touch, because I've been emailing
Yeah.
him since the last meeting.
See, because we thought we knew about the getting for the. other-
Which,
but we
when Andy
done-
was here, we told him we had to get with the auditors to find out.
Yeah, and
when
he thought that was a go.
well,
Okay,
I think to alleviate any
the
future
challenge
troubles,
begins.
We need a motion for
Oh,
the
they got
68,000 that they're requesting today for payroll and operation costs.
Okay, and that's still within their 2019 budget.
Right.
Okay, so we need a motion for approve the $68,000 to use in the December
Allocation.
This is the payroll.
payroll.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor? Aye. So
Okay.
that'll take some of the pressure.
Some of
off.
the pressure, I guess, for my own personal benefit, this will be public record, I guess I'd like to know at the end of the year what we had left in there, so I can kind of keep my mind straight.
Well,
Is that, I mean, that's available?
it should be.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
If you don't get out of here, we're gonna have.
We're gonna limp out of here, I
Yeah.
tell you. Anybody got a towel for the tears? We needed you.
I was told it started at 10 o'clock, and I thought,
Okay,
20 minutes.
well,
Well, we'll get this thing fine-tuned someday, and
No, I
it'll
know.
work like a dream.
good luck.
Reinforcements, didn't you?
Yeah, I'm kind of suspicious here, what's going on.
Well, it's kind of an important day for us, so,
All right.
how you want to say it? Not important, but change, I'll wait for Scott to come back in, but obviously, Leslie and Mike worked on the contract and got something we both agree on, and, city council signed it last night, so, us as the county, if we choose to move forward, we need to sign the contract as well.
Okay. And it all went well?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well,
So there's no really contested areas or,
no, we have that provision where we're going to review it 6 months in, and I think that helps everybody feel comfortable that there'll be, a chance to see how this went for 6 months, and,
but the actual contract is for a year at a
Yes.
time?
yes.
So it'll be
yes.
renegotiated annually?
Yes.
Okay.
But we'll meet in, was it June or July to,
What do they do
Kind of
about
weird,
the
right?
health insurance on the,
it's taken care of. Should we go into executive session if we talk about employees' health
Non-elected.
insurance? Non-elected. Do we want to do that real quick? If you guys really want to know, I can do that. We'll go
Can you
into,
do it in 5 minutes?
I can do it in less than 5 minutes.
We'll ask for 5 minutes for executive
that's
session.
all moved.
I'll second.
All those in favor? Aye. Roger did.
Just a minute.
Yeah, just,
I got papers to fill out.
That's fine.
do you have any accidents or anything over the,
We had a couple, nothing major. No stolen pickups this time.
Heard of there was a rollover.
Mm-hmm. Over near Road 7. And then